Welcome and thank you very much for coming out tonight to honor and thank two very special people, Jack and Susan Batdorff. And I'd like to give yourselves a round of applause. What a great crowd here today. Thank you for coming. We're here to thank Jack and Susan for their wonderful donation that's going to perpetuate the arts for artworks and in Big Rapids and the surrounding community. Jack and Susan have been longtime contributors to many causes. We've been together for many fundraisers, but I have to think that Jack and Susan's real passion is artworks. Because who else would allow their husband to marry somebody for a celebration? Actually, a number of years ago, in order to combine and merge the Humanities Council with the Arts Council, somebody thought it was a great idea to have a wedding. Fortunately, I got to be the groom. He thinks I cheated on the flip of the coin. But I want you to see, if you saw the pictures while the preliminary reception was going on, there's some great pictures of my wife. And Susan, you did such a great job of getting him ready for that. We have some sponsors to thank for tonight. I'd like to hold your applause and we'll thank all of them together. Our sponsor this evening, the Pioneer Group, the pianist for the evening, Jane Rosier, Joel and Connie from the Blue Cow, and Carlene and Brian from the Emporium. Would you please give it up for our sponsors? Thanks very much. Now I'd like to bring to the stage John Norton, former publisher of the Pioneer and Chief Operations Officer.
Thank you, Carl. Hi, Jack. You know, Carl and I said we could turn this into a roast real easy. Well, I was asked to say a few words, and it's my pleasure, having spent 17 plus years working with Jack and John, and by extension Susan and the entire Batdorff family, and it was a real pleasure. And when Tessa and Shirley and Jeanette came over to tell me and Jim Kreese about this wonderful donation, I actually wasn't surprised, because I had a front row seat for many, many years of the generosity of the Batdorff family in my role as publisher and general manager. And as you all know, over the years, Jack and Susan have opened up their hearts and have opened up their wallets to many, many things and many organizations in this town that they love, and this town that they adopted as their hometown, even though they're from Manistee, but spent most of your life in Big Rapids. I'm not going to go through the list of all the causes that they supported, but I want to tell you a couple stories because I think it's indicative of what you get when you ask Jack and Susan for their help, whether that be financial help or whether that be help. I was new on the scene, and somebody had this idea that we needed a riverwalk in this town. And there are some committee members in this room that were also a part of that group. But I was new in town, and Jack said, "Let's go. We got a meeting to go to. Let's go." I don't even know where we were going, but there was this Riverwalk meeting, and sure enough, we became a part of that group. And Jack and Susan donated a fishing platform, and it was a private donation by the family. And then, of course, he felt it important that the company make a donation as well. And I think he talked Amy and I into making a small donation, if memory serves. But what I remember about that is not only Jack's involvement and his passion for the project for this new community amenity, and part of it was a donation, but part of it was using the influence of the newspaper. And at a meeting, he said, "You know what, for every person that donates $1,000 to this project, we're going to put their picture in the paper." And he kind of looked at me and said, "Right, John? Right?" I said, "We can do that." And we did that, and that helped fuel the donations that helped fuel that project. So not only was he using his financial means to help that project along, but helped use the power of the business. And he did that time and time again for things in the community. He also did it for the Michigan Press Association. Many of you don't know, but Jack and his family have a long history with the Michigan Press Association, and Jack was president. And years ago, there was this harebrained idea, I think it was his, about coming up with this auction called the Ugly Tie Auction. So you can talk later. And the ties were really ugly, and Jack bought his share. And the year that Jack was president, he decided that the foundation auction was going to have a record-setting auction. I forgot the number, but it was a big number. And as many of you know, when Jack gets his mind on something, by gosh, it's going to happen. So weeks of planning went into this auction, and the purpose of it, by the way, is to provide scholarships for college students. So they get a scholarship to help those students that want to go into journalism as a profession. So it was something near and dear to Jack's heart. And for weeks, it seemed, Jack was in his office and busier than normal, and he was buying things and framing things. And it turned out he was buying things to go into the auction. And then at the auction, of course, he did his share of buying. But the goal was met. And I remember the passion and the commitment to get that done. But we're here tonight to celebrate artworks and Jack and Susan's love of the arts. And we've always had art with Jack, and we've had these grotesques breeding in our office for years. And Susan, as the story goes, we're sick of looking at him at home, so take him to the office. So we got to have the grotesques. You can talk later, Jack. Jack, you can talk later. But anything to do with the arts and that shows Jack's creative side. Jack is a creative writer. Sometimes he got too creative. I actually had to kill one of his columns. And you can talk later, Jack. And to Jack's credit, he deferred, and he didn't override me and insist that column run, because the publisher killed it because it was a little too artistic for a family newspaper. He just said he ran it 4 months ago. But whether it's photography or whether it's writing or whether it's sculptures or whether it's painting, Jack and Susan have always been in love with the arts. Some have said his tastes are eclectic. Some have said he's eccentric. Jack and Susan used to donate a weekend in Manistee at their condo to the chamber, and our family bought it one year, and we spent the night there. Jessica was about 5. And if anyone stayed at the condo in Manistee, they had these snakes and these gargoyles and these fish, and it was eerie. And Jessica's almost 20, and she still sleeps with a nightlight. So thank you for that. That's really all I have. I just wanted to, on behalf of the Pioneer Group family that's here, and on behalf of the community, Jack, you've set a wonderful, and Susan, John, and the family have set a wonderful example of generosity, that you care for the community, and that you give, and that we all should give up to our ability. So thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you, John. Carrie Weiss, the FSU Fine Arts Gallery and Museum Director, wanted to be here tonight, but she could not be. So I have a letter to read in her absence. Thank you, Cindy, for your glasses. I would like to take a moment to thank Lynn Shibley and the entire Artworks community for allowing me a few minutes of representation during the celebration of Jack and Susan Batdorff. My deepest apologies for not being well enough to attend this evening. Dear Jack and Susan, on behalf of Ferris State University, I want to express our appreciation for your donation of art. Please know that our campus will benefit from your generous donation in perpetuity. Your gift of face jugs will be used whenever possible in exhibitions. They will be shared with the Grand Campus at Kendall, and they will be on permanent display in specially designed display cases on campus that will annually rotate curated selections from the collection. I have found that the face jugs bring curiosity and delight to all who view them, and on your behalf, I will be a steward of your collection and will share your passion for the art you've so carefully selected over the years. It remains a steadfast goal to produce a catalog of the work to share your words of introduction, and to showcase the artists you spent a lifetime collecting. You have bestowed a wonderful gift not only upon our campus and community, but on so many. You have been the best kind of advocate for the arts through your patronage, and we are all the better because of it. With the deepest appreciation, I thank you. From Carrie Weiss. Well written. I'd like to bring up Roxanne Cullen, please, President of Artworks.
I'm asking our entire board to come and join me in just very few words about how important this occasion is for us. The whole idea of paying off a mortgage, I got to do that with our house 2 years ago, and I didn't have any idea how exciting that was going to feel. I was just like giddy. And then, and because suddenly I was thinking, gosh, suddenly there are resources that now I can do other things with, and things that we've been holding off doing. And now we have the same opportunity again here at Artworks. And we take this very, very seriously, and we are so grateful because we have been spending what seems like the last 6 years, but I think it was 6 months, strategic planning and trying to think about our future and the things that we would really like to get done. And some of the things that we did, they called, moonshots. It's like if money wasn't an object, what would you like to do? And we think about things like, the upstairs and what could be done in this building, besides just fixing roofs and furnaces. And so some of the things that we would really like to see, some of the things dreams that might be able to come true now. One of the things would be to have a studio on the street level, where people could come in and just work or watch artists work. How cool would that be right here on Main Street, on Michigan? And another thing would be to have an art therapist on staff. We would love to have art therapy and have those opportunities to help different populations of people who could be enriched and perhaps find solace through art. And so that would be another thing that we've talked about, but maybe now that can become a reality. And then, the other big thing that we're always talking about is the fact that we have so many children that don't have an art class until they're 10 years old. And we want to be part of providing those art classes for our area children so that they don't have to wait till 5th grade to experience the arts. And so all of those things can now become a possibility because of your generosity. And we are very, very grateful. Thank you. And now we get the opportunity to do the great unveiling of the new sign. And so we're going to try not to wreck anything on the way down.
Susan and Jack, you are loved. Susan, you can go first.
Don't be nervous.
Yeah, it would be rare that I speak in front of this many people, so I have my notes to guide me a little bit. But I just wanted to say with great gratitude this evening, I'd like to thank all of the Artworks community for all that they have done and for the arts in Big Rapids. You started with nothing except for ambition and foresight. And then you grew into an exceptional community arts organization. Your vision was clear, and it was always moving forward. It was building, creating, and reaching your goals. Since the days of Jack and Carl being married, you've come a long, long way, baby. It's wonderful to have such a viable art center in Big Rapids, Michigan. Thank you.
You all know how much I absolutely love public speaking. It's really a lot of fun. When Susan and I first decided that we were going to do this, and when this was presented to Lynn, I said, please, 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 Lynn, don't overdo it. God help us if I would have said, go for it and do whatever you damn well want to. Look at this thing. This has been absolutely incredible. I want to thank all the people in this extremely wonderful community who pulled together and pulled this totally unexpected event together, and we're very honored and very humbled. I do want to introduce a few people that are here. There are members of my family that have made it here for this. On the left is my daughter Wendy from Manistee. Her husband Blake couldn't make it over here, nor could her two. She has one daughter at K College, and the other one is working out in Washington at Washington College out there in Alzheimer research. Next to her is Jackson. Jackson and Susie are from Kalamazoo. Jackson has a very job that I would love to have. He's a, what do you call it? He's a brewer. He's a brewer for Bell's Brewing. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And obviously my youngest daughter, Susie, who is a florist designer. Not only a designer, she just put in a huge, what do you call those things? Greenhouse down there. I think she's crazier than hell, but that's okay. If she wants to do it. And obviously my wife Susan, who's put up with a lot with me. And you think? 3 times in the hospital in the last, how long? In the last month? And they still don't know what's wrong with me. No, don't go there. And over here is my smart-ass son, John. What's there to say? The best thing to say about him is his daughter, my granddaughter, Anna, who is now going to be a sophomore at George Washington University out in Washington, D.C. And John's beautiful wife, Stacy Prince. So that takes care of all the family. This donation is being given because, very frankly, we believe in artworks. We believe in what they've done, and its venue as an art and cultural center in Big Rapids. Many years ago, when we were trying for $1 million small city grant, one of the criteria was what the town would be a cultural center. Artworks ownership of this building played a major part in this grant request. And when the building came on the market, Carl Linebaugh and I thought the price was right, and we kind of put the board into we had them tied down. And we agreed, and they agreed to buy it, which is wonderful. That's wonderful. However, the purchase was a great, smart one, but also placed a whole newfound burden. It's called mortgage payments. Renters came, renters went, but it was always the same thing. The mortgage payment just had to be made. So you know how that's going. So it was at that time with the selling of the Pioneer to Pioneer Group to Hearst newspapers, like crazy thought went through my head, and I got Susan aside and said, what do you think? She said, let's do it. And that brings us to today. So I'm a very strong believer in a migrant farmer that lived out in the hinterlands of Saskatchewan. He told his son a special story. He was not a very talkative person, but he told him one story. And he said, the true meaning of life and true meaning of life and success is to plant trees. Trees under whose shade you never expect to sit. And I really, really believe in that. See, I'm a strong believer in what that migrant farmer said. So artworks to us is our forest. It brings art to life, it promotes humanities and art activities, it enriches lives, breeds creativity, and vitalizes our community. We want to help nurture that forest and ensure its growth. Thanks again for coming. This is absolutely incredible, and no, you're not getting off that easy yet. Someone said that quite crazy and unusual things. Other than wives, I love you. That's going to cost me dearly later on today. I want you to know that. But Erich Fromm, the old German social psychiatrist, born in 1900, said, creativity requires the courage to let go of certainties. And the other quote that I really love is from Scott Adams, the American cartoonist and writer of the Dilbert Principles. He was born in 1957, who said, creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. And I love that, and that's why all these wonderful things, which I happen to love. The one on top there was my favorite one, but that's yeah, look at her, she's ready to throw up. But that's the reason we gave the last 110 pieces that we had to Artworks and said, okay, you people can sell them, do whatever you want, and that's it. I thank you so much for coming, for being part of our community. You know, you all say that, and I've heard it before, that as big as a view of this is it's happening. And you know, I'm kind of like the beekeeper. I'm out there stirring up the nest, but the worker bees, you people out there are the people that are really making things happen. Thank you ever so much.
Two standing ovations in one night. Huh? How about that? Yeah. There are probably a lot of people that would have liked that. I mean, so is that not amazing? I mean, it just couldn't have been. Yeah. Well, we tried that, Jack. He said that's my signature, and so we tried that, and we decided not gonna happen because people will be like, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we got as close as we could, and Tessa McNally was lead on that, and I think just did a fabulous job. So when Jack came into my office in December, and he and Susan had talked, you had to pick me up off at the floor. When I started here in 2015, the board had worked so hard with everything they've been doing, and the executive directors and staff that have been here. And so our charge when we started in January 2015 was, what are we going to do about this mortgage? So we were just carrying that around for 4 years. And so Barb's like, yep, I remember that. And so when Jack came and delivered that news, I felt like the party was over and I could just go home because it was like, yeah. So Roxanne mentioned all the wonderful things that we're going to be able to do with not having that on our heads. And, you know, Jack talked about owning a big building, and so it's not just the mortgage, but it's also the roof. Steve Ross, I'm sure, is happy not to have to put buckets under leaks anymore, and we've been able to do so much over the years, and it's just been phenomenal, and it's because of the likes of Jack and Carl's vision early on. And I would like to, you met the current board, they were standing here to do the unveiling, and if you've been on the Artworks board, you're going to see the rest of the room stand up. Would you please stand? And if you're already standing, just raise your hand so that we can recognize all of these yeah, I know. Dave, you were on the board? That's awesome. Yay. Yeah. So we continue to stand on the shoulders of those that have come before us. And it's such a blessing to have something like this in our community. Day after day, people walk into this and they're like, what is this? And how do you have it here? And they're from Birmingham, Michigan, or these places that you would expect would have community art centers, and they don't have something like this, and we do. And because of the work that Jack and Carl did before to make sure we have this building, it will have it. It'll be here. We don't have to worry about that. And so young emergent artists like Amber Prout, who's here this evening, who did this work, isn't it stunning? Yeah. We'll be able to do that. And then the work on the back wall here, and Catherine's also displayed in our lower gallery, who's been an artist of 45 years, will be able to continue to support the work of people who have been artists forever. And so I can't believe I've talked for this many minutes and I'm not just a puddle on the floor, because I've been a puddle for a month thinking about this event. So we're just ever so grateful for all of you being here this evening. It is each one of you, because I see all of you in this building all of the time. I see you buying in the gift store. I see you at events. And I'm so grateful for you being here tonight to help us honor, here it goes, and be a part of this dedication and renaming of the Batdorff Gallery. So thank you so much to all of you. And now I think there's a little bit more wine and a little bit more food, and so continue to enjoy the evening, and be sure to get up and say hello and thank you again to Jack and Susan and the family. And there's more jugs out in the lobby if you haven't seen enough. Get out there to see them, and while you're there, there is a thing for you to sign to say thank you to Jack and Susan and have your name and have that memory for them. So be sure to do that. And again, thank you so much, and good to see each and every one of you.